Guys, the pedophiles are the victims, according to the founder of queer theory. I read the founding document of queer theory, and it led me to this question: what is it exactly that Planned Parenthood and their comprehensive sex education and, these groomer teachers are teaching kids in class about transgender ideology? And they're teaching 5 things. They're teaching that you can be a boy if you want to be a boy, or a girl if you want to be a girl, that there is no gender. It's not binary. It's a spectrum. They teach that gender is not about biology. It's about identity. They teach that sex is different than gender. And they teach that nothing sexual, as long as it is consensual, is wrong or immoral. Those are 5 basic things. Well, what I found when I read queer theory is these are the 5 elements. These are the principles of queer theory. You can think of it like critical race theory. So in school, when critical race theory is taught to kids, it's not taught from an academic philosophical sense. It's not taught, this is critical race theory and this is what the theory teaches. The principles of critical race theory, whether it's white privilege or white fragility, they are taught as truth. They are not identified as critical race theory. So those elements, white fragility, white privilege, they are the foundational underpinning is critical race theory. That's the same thing with queer theory. So what's being taught to children in school, the foundational underpinning is queer theory. Queer theory, it's not taught like this is queer theory and this is what queer theory teaches. These elements and principles are taught as if they're truth. They're taught as if they're real. The author of the founding document of queer theory is a lesbian by the name of Gayle Rubin, who started, by the way, fun fact, a lesbian BDSM club. She called this notion that you can be a boy if you want to be. There is no gender binary. It's not about biology. She called this sex essentialism. Well, rather, she said her ideas were a rejection of sex essentialism, which is the reality that gender is biologically ordained. And then Gayle Rubin, the founder of queer theory, the principles of which are being taught to kids in public school, she actively defended pedophilia. As I said, I'm going to contradict myself. I read the entire 30-page founding document on queer theory. Suffice to say, it is a steaming pile of garbage. It's really shocking to hear in her own words. Let me read you a couple of her quotes. She says, disputes over sexual behavior often become the vehicles for displacing social anxieties and discharging their attendant emotional intensity. Consequently, sexuality should be treated with special respect in times of great social stress. Sex, she says, is always political. Okay, sex is always political. So there we have the weaponization of children. Then she says, the notion that sex per se is harmful to the young has been chiseled into extensive social and legal structures designed to insulate minors from sexual knowledge and experience. So first, sex is political. Now she's defending the sexualization of children. And then we get into the really creepy stuff. She says, although the Supreme Court has also ruled that it is a constitutional right to possess obscene materials for private use, some child pornography laws prohibit even the private possession of any sexual material involving minors. The laws produced by the child porn panic are ill-conceived, she said, and misdirected. They represent far-reaching alterations in the regulation of sexual behavior and abrogate important sexual civil liberties. Okay, so now possessing material that depicts the sexual torture of toddlers is a civil right, according to this woman. She said, hardly anyone noticed as they swept through Congress and state legislatures, with the exception of the North American Man-Boy Love Association and American Civil Liberties Union, no one raised a peep of protest. The North American Man-Boy Love Association is the lobbying arm of pedophiles. It is a group of pedophiles. She said, it's harder for most people to sympathize with actual boy lovers. Like communists and homosexuals in the 1950s, boy lovers are so stigmatized that it's difficult to find defenders for their civil liberties, let alone for their erotic orientation. Consequently, she said the police have feasted on them. Local police, the FBI, watchdog postal inspectors have joined to build a huge apparatus whose sole aim is to wipe out the community of men who love underage youth. Can you imagine being so disgusting that you would describe a criminal pedophile as a community of men who love underage youth? In 20 years, she said, when some of the smoke is cleared, it will be much easier to show that these men have been the victims of a savage and undeserved witch hunt. A lot of people, she says, will be embarrassed by their collaboration with this persecution, but it will be too late to do much good for these men who have spent their lives in prison. Guys, the pedophiles are the victims, according to the founder of queer theory.